So we record each of the meetings, Deepaji, and also they are all available in the Vedanta Study Circle channel. So that way you'll also be able to refer to it as to what has happened thus far.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Prakashji, over to you.
अंतर्ज्योतिः बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परा ज्योतिर्ज्योतिः स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिः शिवोऽस्म्यहम्. I am the supreme light of awareness, illuminating the outer world of objects, inner world of thoughts, and deep sleep state. I am divine light of nature of auspiciousness, Shiva Swarupi. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. He who guides you on the righteous path is a guru. When a parent or a teacher or a friend or an animal or a bird or a plant conveys message of righteousness, they embody a guru. A guru's knowledge encompasses the creation, maintenance, and transformation at all times. A guru represents the voice of the creator himself in showing the righteous path for all being at all times. The voice of the divine is revealed through the message of the guru. अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Guru can guide us to the supreme knowledge of that which pervades all the living, non-living beings in the entire universe. I salute to such a guru. नारायण समारंभं शंकराचार्य मध्यमम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तं वन्दे गुरु परंपरां. सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तं वन्दे गुरु परंपरां. Beginning with Narayana through Adi Shankaracharya in between and up to my own preceptor, I bow with reverence to the entire tradition of preceptors. Beginning with Sadashiva through Adi Shankaracharya in between and up to my own preceptor, I bow with reverence to the entire tradition of preceptors.
Thank you, Prakashji. Welcome to all the divine Atma Jyotis. Hari Om. So, Deepaji, just to quickly summarize, Tattva Bodha is by Sri Adi Shankaracharya, and our batch is called as Sri Ramana batch, and the reference of Tattva Bodha for us is talks by Sri Prabhuji. There is original text of Tattva Bodha also, but for our contemplation and our discussion and any of our unresolved questions, we refer to Sri Prabhuji's talks and also refer to Prabhuji directly. So Tattva Bodha essentially is an introductory Advaita Vedanta scripture. And it begins with who is eligible for the Atma Jnana. what is the eligibility criteria. Like when you have to join any college or any school, there's the eligibility criteria. Likewise, who is eligible for Atma Jnana? So that is the beginning point of Tattva Bodha. And in that, the fourfold qualifications are mentioned. Again, I'll just walk through them in a very quick way, but uh, I would definitely give you references to all these talks, and you can go through them, and we will have further discussions later. So the fourfold qualifications are to develop the discrimination, that is what viveka, then to develop detachment or vairagya. Before I go further, Deepaji, one question that is coming to my mind. Have you been exposed to any of these scriptures or any of these knowledge in any
No,
other?
sir.
Okay.
I actually recently started listening to Bhagavad Gita. Other
Yeah.
than that, I don't know anything about this. I mean, I don't have any spiritual knowledge.
Okay. All right. So excellent, excellent that you started with Bhagavad Gita. That always helps to get into clarity about this subject also. These are related only. So continuing further, so out of the fourfold qualifications, Viveka Vairagya. Viveka is discrimination of what is changing, what is not changing. Vairagya is what is the true nature of dispassion or detachment. Then developing Shat Sampadi, 6 valuable qualities within us, and developing intense desire for liberation, Mumukshatva. So discrimination is what is changing and what is not changing, having clarity about it. Whether Atma Jnana or recognition of true self, is it like any other subject of the world, something that you have to do to get, or is it already there and to recognize? That is the essential discrimination. And the clarity is that true self or your own nature is not something that you will get and something that you need to do to get. It is more of a you are already that and you have to recognize that. So whatever is covering that has to be removed, and that is where the effort is. Otherwise you are already that. As the great masters say, tat tvamasi, you are that only. And that's why the picture of the diamond. The diamond, when you find it, is covered with lot of this kind of a muck or so-called muck, which kind of doesn't show the true nature of the diamond, that shining and glowing, wonderful object. So only that has to be removed. Then the diamond is already there. In that stone, diamond is already there. So is the nature of you. So that is where Vedanta is about you, the subjective, not about the object. What we see, what we experience, all are objects. You, the experiencer, is the focus of Vedanta. So that is where the true discrimination has to be developed. So put in another way, this picture indicates what is unchanging in you and what is changing in you. Everything that you experience is an object and is always constantly changing. Some may be changing faster, some may be changing slower, but they are changing. Your own body, from the time of birth to now, so many transformations, continuously changing. Every moment it is changing. Body is said to be made up of 100 trillion plus cells. That is 100 followed by 12 zeros. Out of that, billions of them are constantly dying and new ones are coming in their place. So the Deepa who came into this session is no more the same Deepa in terms of the body. Every moment there is a change. So is the mind. The mind is nothing but collection of information. What we have heard, seen through all the five senses, that is what we call as our mind. And this mind is also constantly changing. When you are born into this world, you did not have a name, but later parents gave you name Deepa. Likewise, a lot of information started coming your way, and now you have started getting associated with, I am Deepa, I am this lady, I am from this town, such and such. So likewise, there's a whole story of your life that has gone into your mind. And that whole story is also constantly changing. So before you recognized your name, you did not have a name. Then you got recognized with your name. Or for that matter, your maybe profession or your school. So you may say, I passed out SSLC. Before that, you did not have the concept that, you are a graduate of SSLC. Likewise, various information that comes to you and you get connected with all becomes part of your mind. But that is also constantly changing. So when you notice the body and the mind, and likewise even the external world that you notice through your body and mind are constantly changing. What is unchanging in that is only you. Because without you, this change cannot be recognized. And that is the true Viveka. Then the true Vairagya or the detachment is that why we do what we do in life. Fundamentally, if you keep on asking, why am I doing what I am doing, you arrive at naturally, not only you, each one of us arrive at the natural conclusion, I want happiness. Why I eat, why I work, why I get married, why I make money, why I construct house, every little why leads to the fundamental question, oh, I am seeking happiness, I want happiness. And the fundamental clarity is that happiness is not in what I am seeking outside. Happiness is inherent in you. But that is now masked. So therefore, I keep running behind objects. So the true Vairagya, or the true dispassion, or the true detachment is recognition that you are of the nature of happiness. Your true nature itself is happiness. So I have been wrongly running behind objects. So this is the true recognition. Then the mind, which is cluttered with wants, don't wants, likes, dislikes, starts illuminating with the clarity that is already within you. So the Shat Sampatis, these are the Shat Sampatis that need to be continuously developed in order to strengthen this inner clarity. So this inner clarity is already there. You are already that. But because of the masking of the self through the ignorance, this Shat Sampati has to be constantly developed in order to strengthen, to get stabilized in this inner clarity. And the 6 valuable assets of the Shat Sampatis are Shama, Dama, Titiksha, Uparati, Shraddha, and Samadhana. So again, there are talks which go at length about this. So for today, I'll just continue. So likewise, the 2 greatest tools that masters give us is Dhyana and Jnana. Dhyana is meditation and Jnana is this path of self-inquiry. So through a structured and a systematic step-by-step application of this Jnana and Dhyana, the mind that is full of information of the world slowly gets stabilized and the true self starts shining. It is not that you have to get some information about you, but you have to remove the ignorance or the what is covering that. And that is the nature of this picture. So the mind which is full of the information of the world is continuously wavering, likes and dislikes, wants and don't wants, and that gets stabilized through the jnana and dhyana for your true self to be shining through this mind and body. So then we have started going into, in Tattva Bodha, the next chapter is about Atma Tattva Viveka. That is how to discriminate and to recognize Atman. That is what the focus of Atma Tattva Viveka is. In that, the very first logic, see, Vedanta gives us very simple day-to-day experience-based clarity through what are called as various prakriyas or logic, through which you can clearly understand and clearly identify the truth that the Vedanta is pointing at. So one of that logic is Nitya Anitya Viveka. What is changing and what is not changing? What is eternal and what is not eternal? In that, three important ideas: Satya, Mithya, and Asatya. Satya is that which doesn't change from place to place, time to time. Mithya, which is experientially true, but is also changing. For example, the sound you are hearing now, it is experientially true for you, but it is changing. It is coming and going. Asatya is something that never existed. So to clearly recognize in our day-to-day experience what is Satya, what is Mithya, and what is Asatya is this discrimination. Likewise, if you see, the body is a Mithya in the sense that it is continuously changing. Mind is a Mithya, continuously changing. The world that we notice through our senses is a Mithya, continuously changing. But only you, the one who is noticing this change, is Satya. Also, we have, through the Tattva Bodha, we have realized that the senses and the mind are incomplete. The senses do not give you complete information about the world, and the mind adds its own colors. So, for example, if I am deeply attached to the idea that I am, let's say, an Indian, and if some ideas which are, let's say, coming from a foreign country, I may resist that because I have deeply got connected to the idea that I'm an Indian. So like that, mind brings its own boundaries. So therefore, the mind colors and the senses don't give us complete information. I cannot see what probably a dog sees, or what I cannot hear what a bat hears. But I still say, I am seeing, I'm hearing. I'm not really seeing or hearing completely, only a part of it. And through that, the mind itself also adds its own colors. So in a way, my experience of the world through the sense and the mind are incomplete. So the true nature of you is defined by this word, Sat Chit Ananda, Satchidananda. That is your true nature. Your true nature is Sat means I exist, Chit means I am conscious, Ananda, which is actually you're infinite in nature. You're not a finite being, not what you see as your body, not what you experience as your mind, which are finite by their very nature. But you are infinite. And that infiniteness, Anantam, it is expressed as Ananda, bliss. So to recognize that I am this whole is the whole journey. I have a ignorance that I am this limited. From this limitedness to expand into this unlimitedness is the true journey. It is not really a journey in the sense that I have to travel, but it is dropping my misunderstanding is the journey. When the misunderstanding is dropped, the clarity emerges that I'm already that. So from there, we've been traveling into Atma Tattva Viveka. We are deepening our understanding. In the Atma Tattva Viveka, it begins with how I am not the three bodies. Which three bodies? There's a gross body that we can clearly experience through our senses. There is a subtle body that we can say as mind. You cannot show where the mind is, but you can realize that there is a mind. You can experience the mind because you have an ability to think. You have an ability to remember. All these kinds of things you call as, oh, I have a mind. Manas. Where are you thinking? I was thinking in my mind. We have all these expressions. So we can clearly say that there is a mind or a sukshma sharira. Again, for the clarity of understanding, it is not that these are three distinct things. I can cut it and say, okay, this is sthula and this is sukshma, not like that. But we can realize that there is something like that. So the other mind, other body is the karana sharira or the causal body. The cause for all these. In fact, our today's contemplation is going to focus more on that part. So sthula sukshma karana is what I have got recognized as myself. I think of myself as these three. Oh, my mind, the ideas that I have collected in my mind. Oh, my body, this whole instrument through which I'm experiencing. And something that I may or may not be aware of is my desires, my own, why I want to do that. I like this, I don't like this. And I want to do that again and again. All this is the cause. So these three together is who I think I am, which is the wrong understanding, and which is what Vedanta, through a very systematic and step-by-step procedure, helps us to clearly eliminate and recognize the true self. So the three body are the gross body, the subtle body. Again, you'll be going through some of these talks, then you'll understand some of these words and the sentences and the ideas that we're discussing here. Today, our focus is on the Karana Sharira, or on the causal body. So this much is what we've covered in our talks and contemplation so far. Let me pause here. First of all, I know it was kind of like a breeze, maybe many things, but are there any very important questions that are coming to your mind right away?
No, sir, I actually want to go through it again so that I can think more and ask you my doubts.
Correct. Is there anything else that, at a summary level, we should cover by any others? Satyaji or Padmaji or others, Priyaji, Prakashji, Kamatji, anything else that you feel that, we should have covered at a summary level?
I think it is very clear, Vijayji. In fact, I felt very nice listening to the whole, what all we have done till now. In a nutshell, you have put it out very clearly. Maybe the only thing I would like to add is that the whole concept of Tattva Bodha is to recognize the essential nature. In fact, we are getting confused in what we see. Whatever we see, we think as ourselves, but our essential nature is that we are Satchit Ananda. That is, we are existence, we are consciousness, and we are eternal bliss. So the whole concept of whatever we are studying is to know our true nature. Whatever we see or feel is not us. It is the knowing principle which is behind everything. That is the essential nature of us. So in this whole process, why are we studying all this? Is to come from outside to inside. So this whole journey is to remove, whatever is we are thinking that we are, neti, neti, neti. That is not me, that is not me, that is not me. What am I? That is pure consciousness.
Wonderful. Thank you, Satyaji. Does anybody else feel like adding anything more? Okay. Then, as we do usually, let us take these questions. So the format that we follow is, we have these questions, and each one takes this question, and in about say no more than 2-3 minutes shares their understanding based on the question and based on the talk that they would have heard or seen, and their own contemplation, and each one shares, and that's how we kind of get multiple viewpoints. And if there are any questions, we discuss, and that's how the format is. So today the focus is on the Karana Sharira. In our last contemplation, we have covered till the gross and the sukshma by looking at these questions. The questions that we looked at in our last contemplation, last couple of contemplation were, what is gross or sthula sharira? What is sukshma or subtle body? Then who is a devata? So the word devata, we realize that is nothing but it's a manifestation of the consciousness. Consciousness which is all pervading, that operates as different powers in the existence, and that is called as devata. Devata means also a manifestation of the light. Then prakriyas. What are prakriyas? We have examined that. Prakriya is a systematic, logical process in Vedanta to arrive at clarity. What are prakriyas? We have looked at that. Then we have been going through the Shariratraya Prakriya. Shariratraya Prakriya, Sharira, body, Traya, three, Prakriya, the whole process of uncovering. So what are the three bodies that we recognize? Sthula, Sukshma and Karana. In that, we have in the last couple of sessions looked into using the Shariratraya Prakriya. How can I say that I am not the Sthula? And using the same, how can I say I'm not the Sukshma? And we have also examined whether ego is good or bad. And today we need to focus on question number 9 onwards. So maybe so that it also helps Deepaji, we can today begin with question number 6. Each one of you, when you start sharing your understanding, you can pick up from question number 6. Using the Shariratraya Prakriya, how can you clearly illustrate that you are not this gross body, you are not this subtle body, and what is your current understanding of what is this Karana or the causal body, and how can you say that you are not the causal body? And then the last 3 questions we will examine next. So first let us examine these 4 questions. Using the Shariratraya Prakriya, how can you eliminate that you are none of these 3 bodies? So let's begin from there. Who would like to start? Am I audible? Hello? Yeah, okay, all right, yeah. So let us take these 4 questions kind of together. So the question that is being framed is, using the Shariratraya Prakriya, how can you say you are not the gross, not the subtle, not the causal body?
Okay, I'll start.
Yes, sir, Ramanji. Thank you.
So the question is, how can I say I'm not this Stula Sharira? So if you see, the Stula Sharira is one which changes continuously. Right? From the time this Jiva came into being here, as a child, I had a body, a small size, and then like as I kept growing, the body kept changing, right? And but at the same time, I'm able to uh, have that continuity, recognize myself that how I was in my early years and how I am today. So there is something that gives me the continuity, which is what I see has to be the true self and not the body, which has changed. Right? If I associate myself with the body, then like I will not have that continuity. Right? So that's one way I would put that. Uh, I have like I will not call myself based on the body, but I would say like this. I have this body which changes and which will continue to change.
Excellent. Then how about Sukshma Sharira? How can you, using Sharira Traya Prakriya, eliminate Sukshma Sharira? Eliminate as in that you are not Sukshma.
You want me or like you want someone else to go? Or
Okay, maybe that will be faster, no?
yeah, I'll continue then. Yeah. So the Stula Sharira is something which everyone is able to see it from outside, right? While what on inquiry, what we understand is there is a Sukshma Sharira, which is one layer below, related to the mind, right? How I think, how I perceive things, right? So if I see that even that continues to change as I grow up, what I used to know, how I used to think continues to change, and as a result, what is changing, it cannot be me again, right? But I'm able to understand, or I'm able to recognize that like I have changed. My thought process has been changing. So again, so that leads to the understanding that I am not this Sukshma Sarira. I'm not this mind, or the complex of Manas, Buddhi, Hankara, and Chitta, right? And it belongs to me, right? So again, so I would say that I am not this Stula Sharira which is changing, and I am not the Sukshma Sharira which is changing, but these are like uh, these are something which are maybe attached to me, and like they continue to change, and I'm beyond that.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarananji. So maybe let us take this question and let's hear everybody, and then we'll come to the Karana Sharira. Okay, who would like to go next?
Vijayji, I would like to.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So, when we are talking about the body, we are taking the body as three types of body. In the sense, it is Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. So, Sthula is gross. Gross is something which we are able to see. So, I can see anyone having a body, and I can see myself having a body. So, what I have is not me. I have a car. I am not the car. I have a phone. I am not the phone. So what what I have is an instrument which I have. So what I have is not me. So thus I conclude that I am not the Sthula Sharira.
Excellent.
It is just an instrument which I have, just like I have a car to go somewhere. Just like I have a mobile to know something, similarly, the body is just a gross body which I have for a particular purpose. It is an instrument which is to be used for a particular purpose. That is the reason I conclude that I am not the gross body. I am not the Sthula Sharira, because I have the body, but I am not the body. And secondly, it is the Sukshma Sarira. Sukshma Sarira is something, it is not below or beyond. It is, that is also something which we see. But for that to be seen, we don't need sense organs. To see the gross body, we are using the sense organs. But to see the Sukshma Sarira, I can say that Sukshma Sarira is the mind and the contents of the mind or the components of the mind. So for that, we don't need the sense organs, but in fact, we know that we have the mind. We know that we have the Sukshma Sarira. So even if I close my eyes, I am able to see that I have a mind. There is no particular place because no one can see it. Even I can't see it. But I know that there is a mind. There are some components like knowledge, intellect, memory, ego. And I can see it. I know it is there. So that is the Sukshma Sarira. So even here, there is the mind, but I am not the mind because I am able to see it internally I'm able to see it. So if I am able to see it, I am not that.
Excellent.
Whatever you are able to see or whatever you are able to understand that it is there, obviously I am not that. So thus I conclude I am not the Sukshma Sarira. I know I have a mind. I have a mind, but I am not the mind. Now, who am I? I am the knower that there is a gross body, there is a Sukshma Sarira, there is a Karana Sharira. I am that. I am neither the gross body, neither the subtle body, nor the causal body. I am neither of this. I am the knower that there is this.
Thank you, Satyaji. So as far as Karana Sharira, we haven't yet gone into that clarity as to what is Karana Sharira. So we'll come back to that. But thank you very much for this answer. Who will go next? Prakashji, would you like to share your understanding? Prakashji, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Just wondering, do I have anything apart from what is already been told?
Is there any other way you would like to look at it? How using the Sharira Traya Prakriya, how can you say that you're not the Sthula and Sukshma? Is there any other way in which you want to express?
Not getting it, Vijayji. So if I get back, I'll come back to you.
No problem. Yeah. But do you also agree with whatever Saravananji and Satyaji have said so far?
Yeah. I agree with that.
Excellent. Priyaji?
Vijayji, not much to be included. Everything has been told by Sharavanji and Satyaji. One thing I would like to add is gross body. We can add the information about the Panchikaranam, the Prakriya of Panchikaranam. Like as for her, it is a new terminology, so that can be added. How the gross body has been done. Again, we are experiencing it. That's all. We are knowing that there is a gross body. Again, it's an instrument where we communicate to the outside world.
Excellent. Can you elaborate a little more on the Panchikaranam?
Elaborating, explaining is difficult, Vijayji. If somebody can.
Okay. Or even your own understanding of what is Panchikaranam? Even one or two line of understanding?
Yeah, Panchikaranam, like this gross body has been made from 5 elements or Panchabhutas. That is Akasha Tattva, Vayu Tattva, Jala Tattva, and 2 more, right?
Correct. Space,
just
air, fire, water, and earth.
Yeah, like space, air, fire, water, and earth. So that is why even when the person, when the jiva goes out of this body, like we have the habit of burning the body, where we call that as the person has attained panchatvam. So again, this body goes into the five. It will get again merged with the five elements. Like that is the thing. So again, when it is done with these five elements, we can say that we are again we are knowing that we are not the body. We are made up of these five elements. So again, this is not permanent. This is not eternal. The body is not permanent. So again, this is an instrument where we are communicating to the outside world, and it is only that it is protecting the Sukshma Sharira. Like Sukshma Sharira is one layer below the gross body. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you.
How do you say protecting Sukshma Sharira? Why do you say that?
Yeah, two are different, right? It's
yeah,
it's two are different. It's a one layer below the thing. That's it. Sukshma Sari, subtle body is entirely different to the buddhi, manas, chitta, ahankara. This is entirely the body what we can communicate to the surrounding. It's different.
Can it be said that Sukshma Sharira expresses through the Sthula Sharira?
Yes, that we can tell.
Or the Sukshma Sharira is also the experiencer of...
both are the experiences. Both Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira, both are the experiences only. No?
Sthula Sharira is Jada, right? Let's say you poke the body. The Sthula Sharira doesn't know anything. It is the Sukshma Sharira which feels.
Correct. No. Buddhi and intellect will act on it, but anyway, we know that the indriyas are there, and the body is. I have some body that we can experience.
See, even the Sukshma Sharira by itself doesn't have the power.
It's Jada, yeah. But I understood as, on a relative level, the Sukshma Sharira is the experiencer of Sthula Sharira, and where like the pain is basically not felt at the Sthula Sharira level. Rather, it's experienced at the Sukshma Sharira level. And the same way, what we learn through what we go through Sukshma Sharira is perceived by by the knower, by the self, right? So
that is when the concept of devatas will come into existence, like indriyas and all. We have the concept of devatas, knowing the outside world through the indriyas, like eyes we see, like am I right, Vijayji?
Correct. So no, the question, I think, Saravananji, the question that you're asking is, you're wondering how is that Sukshma Sharira is the gross body is the protector of the Sukshma Sharira. That's your question, right?
Yeah, that was the first one. And the second one is the Sthula Sharira is not the experiencer as well. Whatever the Sthula Sharira goes through, it doesn't know. It's inert.
Even Sukshma Sharira doesn't know. All of them can be thought of as a lens through which, the image is being projected into. Though it's a subtler aspect, though it's a subtler instrument or a subtler body, even that body by itself is not seeing. Mind by itself is not seeing.
Yeah, That's true. But
so therefore, you can clearly say that it's also a body. Now that body is something that cannot function without a gross body. In that way, we can understand. But is a protected by gross body, or we can say that the worldly expression happens through the gross body.
through the gross body, yes.
Does that clarify, Saravananji?
The expression is yes. On the experiencing side, still like I have this understanding that whatever happens to the Stula Sharira, right? The Sukshma Sharira which picks up the signal or actually the organ that translates what happened to the physical body.
Correct. However, it is not the experiencer.
Experiencer, and then the knowledge culminates in the self.
Yes.
Yes.
So we can think of the analogy as the movie and the screen. So the screen is like the mind on which the movie is being played. But then without you watching the movie on the screen, the movie has no meaning.
I feel, Vijayji, if we take this body, the gross body, as the computer, and mind is the CPU. Mind is processing, but it is not experiencing. It is like the electricity. It is like the consciousness or the self is the experiencer. In every case, we just confuse that here. Okay, I'm not the body is very easy to understand because I have the body, I'm not the body. But mostly we are confused with the mind. So as Sharananji, your question was, there is a pain to the body will not know because it is inert, right? You are saying the mind is knowing it. No, the mind is a processor. It is something which will do an involuntary action because the consciousness is the knower. The mind is lit by the consciousness, by the power of consciousness. So if there was no consciousness, there is no question of mind also. So and there is no real part as the mind in the body. There is no human part called mind. Mind is just a collection of thoughts. We generally say the mind is here. Who knows where the mind is?
Shukshma.
Collection of thoughts. So these thoughts, how do you know that there are thoughts? If you see thoughts also, you can't really say that this is a thought. I have a thought here. I have a thought here. So you are saying that you have a thought. Who is the knower? That knower is the experiencer. That knower is the self. So unless there is this knowing principle, even the thoughts you wouldn't know. So in fact, when we are studying like, gross body, subtle body, or causal body, this is not to really explain like a science that this is a body, this is a body, this is a body. This is an explanation of our ignorance that we think this is the gross body is we. We think the subtle body is we. We think the causal body is we, but we are neither of this. We are the knower. We are the knowing principle. So we have to come back from here. You have to come back from here and come back from here and stay in the self. So the mind is lit or powered by this power of consciousness.
So purely in that sense, even mind is a power of the self only, and mind comes into being only because there is ignorance. So otherwise, mind by itself is having no particular, in the case of a Jivi, it comes into being because of ignorance. In the case of a Gnani, because of certain function to be performed. As long as there is a causal body, then the mind functions. So which is the question that we anyway have to take up today. So what is the root of the Sukshma Sharira and the Sthula Sharira? but none of them have the ability to be conscious. To say a subtle body is experiencing, it means that it has the ability to be conscious.
Yes.
And then who is the one who is experiencing this also? Who has the knowledge that subtle body is where I'm experiencing all this? Can Prana Shakti by itself experience anything? Can the so-called memory by itself experience anything?
While the self powers it,
Ah.
powers the
Yeah.
Sukshma Sharira.
Yeah.
The Sukshma Sharira is the one which is playing, right? Let's say you put the hand in the fire, it is felt, the Stula Sharira burns, right? But Sukshma Sharira says, okay.
No, Sukshma Sharira doesn't say. Sukshma Sharira is the, let's take the same analogy that Satyaji gave, is where the processing happened, and ultimately you, the knower, gave the interpretation that it is fire and it is burning and it is burning this body. Should I remove the body from this fire? As a little baby, first time when the same hand was put into the same fire, there was no memory of it. So this knower did not have a experience of it. So the mind by itself cannot decide.
But
I think I agree with what Saravanan is telling, right? See, it is a mind which makes the decision based on some past instances.
intellect.
So as Satyaji said, see, electricity in its pure form cannot do anything. Electricity is just an energy.
However,
right? So any manifestation is through an instrument. So
the question here, Prakashji, is whether we are the manifestation or whether we are the electricity. That is the fundamental question here.
No. The question we are trying to answer is who is experiencing it? We know that grass body is an instrument, and who is that who is collecting that information? Who is that which is experiencing it?
See, the question is always, who is the one who is able to give this clarity? So it is not really where you are collecting. So the mind is an instrument where you're collecting the memory, but by itself, it cannot process the memory. By itself, it cannot put the 2 and 2 together and say this is an experience. By itself.
That is where you have the intellect, right? That's where you have the intellect.
Intellect is also your power only. What is intellect fundamentally? Intellect is nothing but a function of the mind, which you have developed over a period of time.
Correct. No, I'm not questioning. No, I'm not questioning the intellect. Also, I'm not questioning that there is something behind intellect. What I'm telling is the experiencer of the outside world is happening through the subtle body.
Through is perfectly fine. Through
it is powered by electricity. See, it is the processing is happening at the subtle body level. It is powered by electricity is a different thing. But where is the processing happening?
But what is the statement that was made? Experiencer, mind as experiencer, that is the incorrect statement. Mind is not the experiencer. Mind is the screen on which the movie is being played, but who is the one who is experiencing the movie? That clarity is what we need to have. Mind cannot by itself experience the movie. There is nothing that can experience by itself.
Is there a difference? Can I say there's a difference between the knower and the experiencer? Because the self cannot. It's more of a knower, which is like being in a sakshi state. Okay, while experiencer is somebody like who is going through it, who may react, who
that is
has
nothing but again. That is nothing but again the part that we can call as ego. I have got connected to a wrong identity called a experiencer. Oh, I am Saravanan who is experiencing this. But ultimately, who is Saravanan? So even Saravanan, the idea of Saravanan is part of the memory that is being given a verbal statement or a sound. But who is the one who is making that happen? So ultimately, who is really the experiencer? The knower and the experiencer are not two. The experiencer, when experiencer, the ego, says that, oh, through this, I am the experiencer, that is the fundamental ignorance which has to be removed. So the fundamental knower is self only. There is no one else who can know. It is not that there is another entity.
So it culminates there. It culminates there, but
Not just culminates. See, that is why it is called as Chidabhasa. It is the manifest self. So what you are talking about now is the Chidabhasa, or the I, the limited I, the ego. That ego, who is that ego? Nothing but self only, but is now manifest. But fundamentally, who is that? So the manifest self by itself is not like an experiencer. It is not a separate entity. Experiencer or knower means what? Having the consciousness, having the ability to be conscious, that which is not changing. So that is fundamentally none other than the self only, you. When you get connected to Chidabhasa, then that is what you say as a statement that, oh, I am experiencing, or she is experiencing, I did not have that pain, or she is the one who is going through that turmoil, I am not going through that. All that is because of getting connected to the Chidabhasa. Sitting in movie theater A, I'm seeing movie 1. Sitting in movie theater 2, I'm seeing movie 2. But both are nothing but movies powered by electricity. And only in that, for the time being, I'm getting confused to, I am the one who's seeing the movie. I'm the one who's powering the movie. I'm the one who is getting involved in the movie. But both are nothing but movies which come and go, which means that they both are transient. Both are transient. Both the Chidabhasas are transient. Both the reflections are transient. So the reflection is not who you are. Reflection itself is realized by you. You, without you, the reflection itself cannot also be realized. So ultimate, who is the knower? You. And right now, the only clarity that has to be gotten is this reflection is not who I am. So far I'm thinking I'm the reflection, I'm the reflection, I'm the reflection. Just remove that ignorance. That is the fundamental focus of this study also, no?
yeah, maybe I have to contemplate more. At this point of time, the way I'm still seeing is a witness, as me as like self as a witness, remains unmoved by anything, right? And while all the things what we see outside, good or bad, is basically triggered by the mind buddhi complex, right? And it's not what is done by the self. The self is at peace. It's not involved in any of the activities. It is just powering each of the organs to do their job. It's powering, but the ego is driving it, right?
But the triggering cannot happen without the self, no? See, for example, when an event comes into the mind, let's talk about two distinct minds, a Jivi mind and a Gnani mind. Somebody calls a Jivi pig. The Jivi mind reacts as, you are a buffalo. Gnani mind may choose to ignore it.
So the experiencer here is, at this point, the self is still at peace. It doesn't matter. While
that may be the case. That is because the Gnani has realized that he is not the reflection. And the Gnani is still able to hear the sound coming, see the sound coming, and see in the mind of the Gnani what kind of reaction is emerging. And in the mind of the Gnani, do I need to act or not act? All that processing is still happening in the mind of the Gnani also. But the mind by itself cannot act. The mind by itself cannot perceive. The mind by itself cannot give directions. Mind is like a, I have a cupboard. I have kept books there, or a bookshelf. I've kept books there. The cupboard itself doesn't know what this book is, or the bookshelf doesn't itself know what the book is. The printing press is printing Bhagavad Gita. That doesn't know that it is printing Bhagavad Gita. Ultimately, without you, that book has no meaning at all. So the mind is like the bookshelf. It is as a storehouse, but that doesn't know what I'm storing. You are the one who knows what is there, what to pick, what to say, when to say, and that depends upon what kind of an identity with which you are performing that action. Are you performing that action with the identity of the reflected consciousness? Then it is a limited consciousness, limited identity. Then you act like, oh, you called me a pig. So like that, it becomes a reaction because of the ignorance that, oh, I have been called a pig. Who? Maybe the body has been called a pig. Maybe my way of thinking has been called as a piggish. Oh, I am.
Where is this going on? It's all in the mind. It's so when somebody calls, it is not the self that is disturbed, right? It is in the ego mind.
No, in the Jivi's mind, there is a disturbance. No.
Exactly.
So in
So
the Gnani's mind also there can be a disturbance, but the Gnani has realized that I'm not the mind. Do I need to act now? So the Gnani is not.
So that realization is more at the Sukshma Sharira level, right? The why, who is receiving this immediately? Who is processing it? And at the processing layer, we want to fix it.
Magnifying glass, no, Sharavananji. The magnifying glass is not the light. Magnifying glass is concentrating the light onto paper. Your mind is like a magnifying glass, but magnifying glass itself doesn't know what it is concentrating. It is a property, it is the nature of the mind to magnify, to concentrate the light. So you are the one who takes the paper and you hold it and you make the light focus and you can burn or you can read. That is your ability. But the glass itself, the mirror, the magnifying glass itself has no ability by itself. It's a pure instrument, like any other instrument. The knife is a pure instrument. You choose whether to murder or
how to use. Are we not like feeding the buddhi intellect level to say, okay, this is the wrong viveka, this is the right?
No, Vijay, going by your own example of a book,
Yeah.
where does the reading happen? The reading doesn't happen on the body level. Okay, the eyes are only seeing it. The reading happens at the subtle body level.
No,
Correct.
even subtle body is a focusing machine. Reading cannot happen in the mind. Reading happens because of you. You are able to see.
No, I think we are confusing here. What we are trying to say is the subtle body is the one which reads, which understands what is been written.
How can
Of course, the subtle.
How can the bookshelf understand the book?
No, not the bookshelf. The reader. Who is reading it?
Is the mind. Mind by itself is not a. Mind by itself doesn't have the power. Mind is a power of the self. Please understand the distinction. Mind by itself is not the power. Self has the power called mind.
Yes, self. So self initiates the mind, but then from that point, it's the mind.
Which means what? Which means that mind by itself is not having the ability to be conscious. Consciousness is given to the mind. Consciousness is given to the mind. The lens by itself cannot see. It's the use.
Agreed, Vijayji. That point is agreed. Very well clear. See, let us imagine there is a hardware there's a computer,
Yeah.
right? And there is electricity.
Yeah.
So the one which sends the signals are sent by the sensors, correct?
Correct.
And that is processed at the computer level.
Correct.
What powers the computer is the electricity.
Correct.
So if you ask me, where is it? It's processed. Where is it? It's known that there is a signal coming. It's all at the computer. Of course, the computer is powered by electricity is a different thing. So what we are trying to say is, the computer is the one which senses those information, which tells me there's a temperature, there's a pressure, there's something else, right? Which is, let's say, observing the world. Let's say it's just drawing it. So that's what we are telling. At the subtle body is where all these experiences are captured. That is powered by electricity is a different thing.
See, please.
The logic is in the processor.
Let's understand the distinction. Signal is coming to the CPU, but the CPU itself doesn't know what it is processing. See, again, the analogy that we use in case of Atmagnana, using computer as an analogy, is incomplete because any analogy cannot give clarity. Let's understand where the incompleteness is. See, in the computer, there is a program, and computer just runs the program mechanically. It's been designed by you, the designer of that computer, in a certain hardware configuration in how it should perform. Computer by itself doesn't really know what it is processing. At the end of the day, at the most fundamental level in the computer, it's an instruction. It's a movement of certain zeros and ones. It's a movement of certain highs and lows. That's all it is as far as the CPU is concerned. CPU by itself doesn't know what it is processing.
But here I believe the program, the way the programming is happening is based on like what is the knowledge that individual has and what is being fed to the intellect, which is what gives back to saying like react this way.
Correct.
The self doesn't say, right? Self will not.
The one who is choosing what knowledge I should accept. See, for example, as a little baby, you were told that your name is Saravanan. You accepted that knowledge and you started saying, I'm Saravanan. Initially, you were saying that Saravanan is hungry because you had the clarity in a way intuitively that the body is hungry. But people started correcting, hey, don't refer to yourself as a third person. You are hungry. So you then started getting connected to this body is being called as Saravanan and that I am Saravanan. So where that knowledge began, that knowledge did not begin by itself. Because of you, it is not because of the mind that the knowledge began. Because of you, that information when it came, you are able to process. You did not teach your child how to speak. The child has the ability to learn. Where is that ability coming from? It is already inherent. The instrument is necessary. We are not denying the instrument. Please understand, for the sound to be heard, the ear has to be there. For the sound to be heard, the processing unit of the brain has to be there. For the sound to be heard, the mind as a power has to be there. But none of these are the reasons why you are able to speak. Because of you, you are able to speak. The instruments should not be confused as the powers. They are the channels. They are like the magnifying glass. They are like the screen. They're like the CPU. CPU by itself cannot think by itself. Magnifying glass by itself cannot concentrate the light. These are again limited examples. You, without you, this mind will not function. Without you, which information to choose? All the information are coming at you. Among this information, which information to choose? Again, through the experience collected in the mind, you are able to ascertain. But who is picking which experience to pick? Oh, last time I put my hand in the fire, it burned. Who is able to use that information? You. Mind itself cannot pick that information. How can mind pick that information? It's a bookshelf. It's a storehouse of information. Bookshelf doesn't know which book to read now.
Maybe there is one basic then my understanding of self, the way I see self as untainted. It's full of knowledge,
Sir,
but
I would,
it's,
sorry,
go ahead.
Satyajit, I would like to add something.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing the self and your body as two very, very different, people. If I have to put it in the very gross way, you see it as two different things, and that is why I think you are not able to establish the association, because you see this self as very, very pure, and it cannot, think in this way, or it cannot think any bad or good, or for that matter. And you're seeing yourself as somebody, who is capable of all that, all the thoughts, whatever it is, good or bad, you think like that, and probably that is why you are not able to like establish the association. But if we see it as an altogether one unit, then there is nothing else other than the self. Correct? For example, if you are watching suppose I am watching a news channel, and there are various news relayed onto the TV. Okay, it can be about the corona, it can be about spirituality. The same news can have various information, but you might pick something relevant to corona because maybe you are in that profession, but I may not pick up that same information, right? That distinction cannot be made by the mind. I am the one who's choosing according to what I need. So who is that I who needs that particular information?
Me again, yeah, like you are very close to where where my confusion is. I still see self as very pure and like not moved by what is going around or deciding what to do. While the way I'm seeing is like everything what I do is based on what is fed to me through knowledge, and which is recorded in my memory, right? And like I'm basically acting using this ego, mind, memory and intellect mechanism, and I am not associating all my actions to myself, or to the self which is pure again, which is powering all this, which is witnessing all this, but like it's unmoved.
Saravananji, can I point you? Can I ask you to reflect on one thing here at this point of time? You're saying all this. I am acting through mind and body, but self is pure. Then you must be something other than the self. Who are you then?
Yeah. So I am. So
reflect on that question. Who are you?
Yes. So I am a combination of, or I would say, I am the one which is modified by the mind of the self. Okay. If the mind is silent, I will be pure self, because mind is.
How did you get the power to speak? How did you get the power to be conscious? How are you conscious then? You're something other than the self. Then how did you get the power?
No, again, itself is see, the self is powering all these faculties.
Here, right? The confusion, Saravananji, is yes, pure self is pure. Electricity is pure. The confusion is happening because when electricity is flowing through fan, I think it is fan. Electricity has become fan. Or the classic, a better example is taking water and putting coffee, then thinking the water has become coffee now. Or taking water and putting leaf and thinking that the water has become tea now. For that moment, it is colored like that. But still the water, nothing happens to water. So you are like that is the intention of saying you are pure. But right now, only through clarity of your intellect, you can discriminate that you are not the tea, but you are water. But you cannot separate like that. It's not like there is a pure self and there is me who is acting. There is no two there. That is the most fundamental disconnect.
Also, sir, there is one more question. Like, For example, if you're saying that Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira is the experiencer, one thought is, why does the Sthula Sharira is going through all this? That is one more question because that is not the only thing, right? Like you are saying that the Sukshma Sharira is the one that is experiencer, and that is how you are distinguishing it. Like this is the experiencer, and you are saying that your true self is the knower, right? So what I am questioning is, why does this Sthula Sharira has to go through whatever you are going through? Because it is certainly not the same. All the 7 or 9 of us here are going through different experiences, right? So why is your Sukshma Sharira going through whatever you are saying? If the Sukshma Sharira is really the experiencer, why is it going through that? Then that is where the question of the Karana Sharira comes, right? Because that is probably if you look at the actual thing, it's the causal Sharira. That means the cause of what you are, the Sukshma and the gross is arising from the causal body or the Karana Sharira. So then again the question, then there is no relevance of the Sukshma Sharira because the seed is lying at the Karana Sharira level, right?
So the way I see Karna Sharira is more the reason for this life, okay, for this birth or like taking this birth, right? But what we are going through, what I am going through, right, is the refining process where to understand this and go to the real self. This is how I see it, because all the problems I see is more at the Sukshma Sharira level, at the mind complex level. Okay. Why is there is a terrorist going and like hurting everyone, right? His logic has been tainted with the knowledge given to him, and like based on that knowledge, that person is acting, while the self is just watching. The self did not decide to do that. The self is not participating in that. That is how I understand this.
But when the self is connected with the reflected consciousness, it becomes a jiva and functions as if it's a jiva. And that is the fundamental ignorance, which is avidya, the cause of the causal body. Not like a separate body. And the whole jnana is being given to clarify this, that you're not the reflected consciousness.
So are you saying like the Atma itself is having avidya here then?
Atma doesn't have avidya. The ego, which is the reflected consciousness, is the avidya field.
Yeah, so that is at the Sukshma Sharira level, right? That's what we are talking about right now.
Avidya is at the Sukshma Sharira level, correct. Atma is not avidya.
Yeah, that is where I'm talking. All
because the self is now seeing through that avidya field. See, the same self is seeing is in the Gnani, the same self is in the Jivi. In the Jivi, it functions as avidya. In the Gnani, it functions as vidya or clarity. Which means what? Which means the instrument through which it is being seen makes all the difference.
Exactly. Yeah. So
the clarification is for the mind-body complex here.
Exactly. That is the only one that needs to go through the purification, or then like I will be able to be myself, the pure self, and right. So the processing layer is where I feel this whole transformation has to happen.
I think, see, going by the same example, Vijayji, see, the difference between Jnani and Agnani, for that matter, is that the Sukshma Sharira where he experiences, the Agnani basically reacts outwardly, means whatever happens to the body or to me is insult, or he will basically react. The Jnani will start looking towards the Atma. He will start looking inwards rather than looking outward, right? So what we are telling is that in between layer is the one which is experiencing it, that is powered by the Atma.
We also have Prabhuji now. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hari Om Vijayji, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I heard there's some question, interesting question. Just wanted to check up what is that.
Saravanan please go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
1 minute, Vijay, Gayatri wants to join. She has joined?
She has,
Yes, Guruji.
yeah.
Just want to join this question. Are you joining?
I have joined Guruji. I said also.
Oh, okay. Vijay, Gayatri has joined already.
She's here, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, yes, Vijay, can you record this question separately if this question is there?
Yes. Let me stop this and then I'll restart.